Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day. I am Ifah binti Ahmad Hilmi and today I'll be presenting the topic stress in simple and complex words. Before we talk about stress in words, we need to know that stress is often associated with two characteristics, which is the production and also the perception. To make it clear, production means the amount of energy being used when a speaker pronounced a syllable. Meanwhile, the perception depends on four other categories, which can be seen here in the slide, such as loudness, length, pitch, and quality. So in this topic, it is really important to use our sense of listening to differentiate the perception and the production of sounds in the syllables. Okay, now the question is, how do we decide on the placement of stress? It actually depends on several conditions that need to be considered, such as the morphological structure of the words, the grammatical category, the number of syllables, and the last one is the phonological structure. I hope we're still good until now because I'm about to bring you to the topic today. So first, let's see stress in simple words. Before that, I would like to revise on simple words. Simple words can easily be said as words that do not have any affixes, where there are no new morphemes being added into the words. So stress in simple words can be found in three categories. The first one is single syllables, two syllables, and the last one is three syllables. So let's see one by one. Okay, stress in simple words has the most simple rules, especially in the single syllable, because they are often being pronounced in primary stress, which is the strongest type of stress. For example, the word push, plant. Okay, you can listen that I put the stress very strong and clear. Next, the words like die, heart, that obviously contain diphthongs and short vowels are often stressed because they are considered as strong syllables. Now let's go to the simple words with two syllables. Okay, stress in simple verbs with two syllables are explained in this table by using the final syllable as the key point. Let's see the table one by one. Okay, if we see right here, when the final syllable category is weak, then the placement of stress will be on the first syllable rather than the final syllable. The words into this category are enter, envy, open, and equal. Okay, the next rule will be when the final syllable is weak, placement of stress will be placed on the final syllable instead of the first one. The examples are words like follow and borrow. The last rule will be when the final syllable is strong, so the placement of stress will be placed on the final syllable. And this applies to words such as apply, attract, arrive, and assist. Now let's continue with two syllables in adjectives. Okay, two syllables in adjective. We also see this in the final syllables as the key point. There are also three rules right here. First one is when the final syllable is weak. So the placement of stress will be on the first syllable. Some of the examples of the words are lovely, even, and hollow. You can listen that I pronounce the stress really clear in the first syllable. Lovely, even, and hollow. The next rule will be when the final syllable is strong, the placement of stress will be on the final syllable. For example, divine, correct. The third rule will be when the final syllable is strong, placement of stress will be placed on the first syllable. The examples are honest and strong. Let's continue with stress in simple words in two syllables noun. So in noun, stress often falls on the first syllable unless if the first syllable is weak. Then the stress will fall on the second syllable. For example, the word money. So the stress will be on the first syllable. Money, product, larynx, dive in, and so on. Now let me further explain on the last category on simple words, which is the three syllables. Okay, generally in three syllables, word first syllable will be the one which is stressed. For example, quantity, quantity, custody, custody. Okay, so the different case is when first syllable is weak, so the stress will be on the final syllable. Take a look at words like disaster and potato. Potato in three syllable words, the stress on the final syllable will usually be secondary stress, which means it is a more weaker type than the primary one. Although the last syllable is strong, this means that the main stress is still on the first syllable. For example, the word like marigold, intellect, alkali. Okay, you can see that in this 3 syllables word marigold, the first one is primary and the last one is the secondary stress. Both of them have stress placement, but the first one is always stronger than the last one. Okay, what a journey we are in. Now take a deep breath for a second. We will continue with another main topic in this chapter, which is stress in complex words. Okay, I hope everybody remembers that complex words can be categorized into 2. Number 1 can be made from a simple stem with affixes being added. For instance, the word beauty add with suffix full will be beautiful. The next one is complex words can be made of compound words. It is usually a combination of 2 or more independent words. Now, as I said before, compound words can be made when there are affixes, whether it's suffixes or prefixes. So let's see how the affixes can affect the stress placement. So let's move on towards the first one, which is suffixes. There are 3 things could happen towards the stress placement. First one, the suffix itself will carry the primary stress. You can see the examples right here. Words like refugee, evacuee, volunteer, all of them have its own stress placement in the first and final syllables. But the primary stress will be on the added suffix e, refugee, evacuee. Next, stress neutral suffix. Stress neutral suffix is when the placement of stress will have no change despite suffix being added. For example, right here, from comfort to comfortable, refuse to refusal, there is nothing changed right there. Last but not least, we have suffix shifting the stress in words like advantage to advantageous, photo to photography, and more. That is suffix. Now, what happened to prefix? Does adding prefix change anything? Okay, so prefix actually follow the same rule as polysyllabic words such as children, chicken, shampoo, because there is no consistent pattern on the word stress and the prefixes. Sometimes they are only made prominent for particular contrast. Now we're on the last subtopic for this chapter, stress in compound words. There are several general rules to decide on stress placement. Okay, on your right table, I put the different type of compound words that the stress will usually fall on the first syllable. This right table, let's see. The first one, when the compound words are combined between 2 nouns. For example, typewriter, sunrise, and suitcase. The next one, when the first element of the word is adjective and it's being added with ed morphemes such as bad tempered. And the last one, when the first element is number, such as 5 finger, second class. So the stress will fall on also the first syllable. On to your right table, the type of compound words with the stress on final syllable. First one is adverbs, such as head first, downstream. The second one is compound words that function as verbs, such as downgrade, backpedal. Okay, the stress will be on the final syllable. Yeah, I think that's all for me. Thank you very much for listening. I hope all of you have a great day, and Assalamualaikum.